protect landowners. And then again, we overwhelmingly came together for the veto override. This issue also brought together homeowners and landowners and small business owners in their fight against government agencies and big developers in order to keep their land and their homes. It really is important for lawmakers to stand up for landowners, because Iowans just fundamentally believe it's wrong for government to take people's land and their homes and their farms for economic development. One result of all of this discussion of eminent domain is the fact that landowners and business owners and homeowners have recognized that they need an organized voice. And so that's why we're here today to help them talk to you about their new grassroots effort. And I'd like to now turn it over to Representative Kaufmann.
Thank you, Jodi. We have people here today from Mahaska County, Page County, Cedar County, Polk County, Madison County, Clarke County, and from the Iowa House of Representatives, welcome to your house. And today, hopefully, your message is going to get out there in the state of Iowa. Where the focus is right now, and the reason we're talking about eminent domain at this point, is an incident that's occurring in Clarke County. It has statewide implications. What is occurring there is a lake that before the eminent domain decision was listed as about 350 acres that was needed for drinking water, has now turned into almost 900 acres needed for drinking water. What's happened is some regulations have been changed, some needs have been expanded, and essentially, in my opinion, the eminent domain law is being skirted. Literally, some loopholes, or at least there's an attempt to be exploiting this. If Clarke County goes, Madison County could be next, Page County could be next, and several other unnamed counties in the future could occur. This is extremely important. In your press packets, I have some minutes there. Less than 1 month after the eminent domain override, a federal agency, a head from a federal agency states very clearly and tells the Clarke County folks, do not worry about this law. We're going to proceed with our own goals and plans. That's not acceptable. It's not acceptable that a federal agency is partnering with locals in order to skirt a statewide issue that had overwhelming support. And it's not also acceptable, and it's certainly not within the spirit and intent of this particular law. This isn't about the technicalities today. We'll have plenty of those later on in the session in terms of how to fix this mess. But we want you to hear from the actual residents and from Clarke County and hear what they have to say. So I'll turn it over to Doug Robbins. To Cindy Sanford from Clarke County first.
Ma'am, when you start, can you tell your name and spell it for us, please?
Cindy Sanford, Cindy Sanford.
Thank you.
My name is Cindy Sanford. My husband and I bought our home in 171 acres 18 years ago. We bought our place to live in the country and to raise our 2 children in a rural setting. My husband and son love to hunt, and we have prime hunting. My daughter and I love the animals we have raised. All of our land and our home will be taken by this lake project. When we bought our home, it had been vacant for 7 years. It had a few major problems. The area was very overgrown, and I think people had used it as a free dumping site. But we saw its potential. Because of its problems and our willingness to work hard to improve it, we were able to buy our American dream. My husband and I both work in Des Moines and commuted every day. We are retired now and plan to live there throughout our retirement. It has always been our son's dream to build his home in our timber. Is this proposed lake project about water need only for Osceola and Clarke County? I don't think so. Prior to the eminent domain law passing last year, the largest lake site plan was 834 acres. They advertised they would have recreation and water source plus private development. They advertised that if the lake was for water source only, it would be 359 acres, or 834 acres for water source and recreation. Now the lake proponents say 971 acres is needed for the water source only. What changed? Not our water needs, but the eminent domain bill changed. They justify this large change in facts because of the 10 state standards for lake planning, which were adopted by state and federal agencies. These standards were adopted in 2003, not 2006. Yet they were never mentioned at a Clarke County Reservoir Commission meeting until November of 2006, after the eminent domain bill passed. When questioned about this, Mark McCurdy from the NRCS, a federal agency, evasively states that they didn't know about them at first, or there have been many engineers involved in the project, or it's just so complicated and the progression had to be planned. He has never provided a good answer. Is the federal agency so inept or intentionally vague because there isn't an answer to justify a 971-acre lake under the current eminent domain law? I'm going to read you the mission statement for the Clarke County Reservoir Commission. The mission statement was approved August 2004 and was never changed. It reads, our mission is the development of a large multipurpose lake in Clarke County, Iowa, which will serve as its primary purpose as a regional water supply reservoir as part of the SERWA emergency grid system. Osceola currently sells 1/3 of our water to SERWA, or Southern Iowa Rural Water Association. The Osceola Water Board, without knowledge of the public, signed a contract with SERWA to sell excess water for 40 years. Does the desire to sell additional water to SERWA constitute a dire need for Osceola to build a lake to have more water? Note that there is nothing in that mission statement that addresses dire water needs of Osceola or Clarke County. SERWA currently sells water to a 9-county area in southwest Iowa. I believe this proposed lake is primarily about recreation and economic development for Osceola. Osceola owns land around West Lake, which is our current water source and home of Terrible's Casino. What happens to West Lake after it is abandoned as a water source? Will it be sold to Terrible's or development? Clarke County owns 284 acres at the proposed lake site, yet less than 20 acres will be affected. They will have a large amount of lakefront property. Of all the lake sizes planned, this is the only one that wouldn't have flooded their own property. Can they condemn our homes and land and not even use theirs? Some landowners have been told that this is not personal. Well, it's very personal to us. It's what we have worked for. It's what we have planned for. It's on our minds 24/7. It affects our children. I also disagree that this is not personal to some of the 10 board members of the Reservoir Commission. The chairperson of the CCRC represents the Osceola Water Board, although she has not sat on the water board for 1.5 years. She does, however, have a very significant and personal ties to the bank the CCRC, Clarke County Reservoir Commission uses. A vice president of this same bank also sat on the CCRC board representing another local agency. With the proposed lake site, his family's land will no longer be affected. The general manager of SERWA is another significant board member. Obviously, his salary and bonuses are dependent on the continued growth of SERWA. The member at large of the CCRC is also a director and board member of SERWA. The Clarke County Development Corp is represented on the Clarke County Reservoir Commission. Its president is also president of the same bank. I just pointed out some of the most obvious special interests in this project. Special interests that are willing to sacrifice a few of us for personal financial gains, and local elected officials and state and federal agencies that are going along with it. As you can tell,